The roar of applause hit me like a wave. Blinding lights spilled over the stage, and the cold, heavy weight of the award in my hands should have been the moment I had dreamed of all my life. My heart hammered, my grip slick with sweat as I clutched the microphone. Thank you. I breathed into it, my voice trembling but strong enough to echo across the hall. This means more than I can ever express. I let my eyes wander across the crowd, searching instinctively for the people who mattered most. I imagined my mother's proud smile, my father's approving nod, maybe even my brother's smirk from the back row. But the seats I longed to see filled were empty, just rows of strangers applauding politely. I told myself they'd arrive late, that traffic had delayed them. But deep down, I already knew the truth. An hour before the ceremony, a friend had sent me a photo that seared into my memory. My family basking in the sun at a beach out of state, drinks in hand, laughter frozen in time. My brother flashing a peace sign, Mom in her favorite straw hat, Dad raising a cocktail without a care. They hadn't forgotten. They had chosen not to come. When the ceremony ended, I walked off stage, the sound of applause fading behind me. My heels clicked sharply against the polished floor as I slipped into the shadows. My chest was tight, my stomach twisting. I just wanted air. That's when I felt it. A fleeting touch, a warm hand brushing mine. Startled, I turned, but all I caught was the back of a tall figure in a charcoal suit slipping into the crowd. When I looked down, something cold rested in my palm. A brass key, plain and ordinary, with a small tag tied to it. In neat handwriting it read, "Welcome home." I froze, my pulse thundering in my ears. Before I could make sense of it, my phone vibrated violently inside my clutch. I pulled it out and felt my breath catch. 78 missed calls. Every single one from my parents and my brother. My hands shook. What could have happened between that carefree beach photo and now? I pushed through the doors into the cold night air, the city buzzing faintly around me. Across the street, a black SUV idled, its tinted windows revealing nothing. For a second, the passenger window slid halfway down, just enough for me to meet a pair of sharp, unblinking eyes watching me. My phone buzzed again. A new message from Mom. Come home. Now. But in my other hand, that brass key felt heavier than the award I carried. Something told me that whatever it unlocked would change everything. The street lamp stretched my shadow across the pavement as I stood frozen, the edges of the key digging into my skin. Suddenly, the award felt like a worthless trinket, something I wanted to drop and forget. The SUV still hadn't moved, but I could hear its low rumble in the stillness of the night. Every instinct screamed for me to run, but the phone buzzed again, demanding my attention. Dad, Mom, Ethan. Their names flashing again and again. Resentment surged up inside me. Weeks of silence, the occasional cold text, and now suddenly, I was the one they couldn't stop calling? I slipped the key into my clutch and began walking, my heels striking fast against the sidewalk. The SUV's engine revved lightly, and I caught the silhouette of the man leaning forward behind the window, still watching. I turned onto a side street, the city noise dulling, and my phone rang again. This time, I answered without thinking. What? My tone came out sharper than I intended. Madison. My mother's voice broke, raw in a way I'd never heard before. You need to come home. Right now. Why? My words were bitter, automatic. So you can leave again? Or maybe so you can explain why a beach trip mattered more than tonight. Please, she cut in, panic in her voice. Something's happened. It's about the house. I stopped dead in my tracks. My stomach turned. What about the house? The line rustled, and then my father's voice came on, low and strained. Who gave you a key? The night air suddenly felt suffocating. What? The key, he pressed, each word clipped. You didn't get that from us. Who gave it to you? I swallowed hard, my throat dry. Why does it matter? You don't understand, he snapped, his voice almost breaking. That key doesn't belong to you. The call cut out. I stared at the dark screen, my reflection staring back at me. The roar of my pulse filled my ears, drowning out everything else. Would you like me to extend this into a thriller-style continuation, where she follows the mystery of the key and the SUV? Or keep it in a more emotional family drama direction? Someone slipping me that key hadn't been a prank. Whoever did it knew something. Something my family had worked hard to keep buried. And right now, I craved the truth more than I craved air. I turned back toward the main street, but the black SUV I'd seen earlier was gone. In its place, lying on the sidewalk just ahead of me, was a single envelope. It rested face down, edges fluttering in the night breeze. I crouched and picked it up. My name stretched across the front in bold black ink. No stamp, no sender, no other markings, just my name. The paper was sealed tight, and beneath my fingertips, I could feel the rigid outline of something that wasn't cash or paper. Something hard. I scanned the street, every shadow and corner. Nothing. No one. The urge to tear it open right then battled with the voice in my head warning me I was already too deep. My hesitation lasted seconds. My fingers ripped the flap open, the sound sharp against the quiet street. I slid the contents into my palm. A folded piece of thick paper and a small laminated photo. The photo froze me. My family. But not in any way I had ever seen them. They weren't smiling or caught mid-laugh in some candid moment. They sat at a dining table. But not ours. The table, chairs, and even the room looked different, like a set built to imitate home but missing the warmth. Their faces were pale, tense. My father's hand pressed flat against the tabletop, knuckles white. My mother's eyes were fixed downward, lips tight. My brother sat stiff, jaw clenched, shoulders squared. And in the bottom corner of the photograph, I noticed something chilling. A faint reflection in the glass of a cabinet. A tall figure in a charcoal suit. The same one I'd spotted earlier tonight. My chest tightened. Whoever slipped me the key had been right there with them. I opened the folded paper next. Not a letter. A floor plan. I knew it instantly. The house we'd lived in when I was a kid. The one we'd left suddenly when I was 12. Several rooms were marked in thick red ink. One upstairs bedroom was circled. Beside it, scrawled in the same hand, check inside. I clutched it hard, afraid it might vanish if I let go. My phone buzzed, vibrating in my pocket. A video call from Ethan. Against my better judgment, I answered. His face appeared wide-eyed, his voice sharp and hushed. Maddie, listen to me. If anyone gave you something tonight, you can't. He cut off mid-sentence, his eyes darting to the side as though someone had stepped into the room with him. His voice dropped to a whisper. They'll hear me. Don't go there. You understand? Don't. The screen went black. The street felt heavier, charged, like the air before a storm. A cold gust swept past, rattling a sign against the wall. The road stretched empty, the SUV nowhere in sight. I looked at the photo and floor plan again. I could shove them back into the envelope and pretend none of this ever happened. But the truth was already under my skin, crawling, burning. The key was still in my jacket pocket, warm from where I'd been holding it. Something had happened to my family. Something awful. And they feared me knowing it more than living with it. I slid the envelope inside my coat, drew in a breath, and made up my mind. I was going back. Not to the house they lived in now. To the old one, the one they refused to talk about. And I was going tonight. As I drove out of the city, the skyline dimmed behind me. My award from earlier in the evening sat forgotten on the passenger seat. The streets thinned, lamplight fading to silence and shadows, broken only by the steady hum of the engine. It had been years since I'd taken this road. As a child, I never questioned why we packed up and left so fast. My parents had spun it as opportunity, a better district, a bigger yard, more privacy. But steering back into that neighborhood under the cover of night, I recognized the lie. The houses sagged behind overgrown hedges and rotting fences. Memories stirred, bike rides on cracked sidewalks, my mother calling me in at dusk, my father's voice sharp during late-night arguments. When I pulled up to the old house, my grip on the wheel tightened. It was smaller than I remembered. The paint peeled in strips. One shutter hung loose, swaying gently. The porch light was dead, but a faint glow leaked through a window, like a single lamp left burning. My pulse thudded. I cut the engine. Silence rushed in. The key in my pocket felt heavier than steel. Gravel crunched under my boots as I crossed to the porch. Each step creaked under my weight. The lock was old. I remembered how it stuck sometimes, but when I slid the key in, it turned smooth, easy. The latch clicked open, echoing unnaturally in the quiet. The air inside was stale, edged with the metallic tang of something I didn't want to name. The living room was stripped nearly bare. Beige walls dulled with age. Faint outlines where pictures once hung. The carpet muted my steps as I closed the door softly behind me. Would you like me to continue this scene further, into what Maddie finds upstairs in that circled room? Or keep this as a self-contained suspense chapter? Every creak of the floor made me pause, straining to catch any sound that didn't belong. The faint glow I had noticed from outside came from the kitchen. An old desk lamp, perched crookedly on the counter, threw a circle of warm light over a pile of papers. My hand brushed the edges as I stepped closer. Property deeds, bank records, all signed with my father's name. Beneath them was something that made my stomach tighten, a photograph. It showed me, maybe 8 years old, in the upstairs bedroom. I wore a blue hoodie, staring at the camera with an unreadable expression. But what made my skin prickle wasn't me. It was the figure in the corner, shadowed, tall, watching. I had no memory of that picture being taken. A faint thump echoed from upstairs. My head snapped up toward the staircase. Everything in me screamed to leave, but my legs carried me forward anyway. Each step groaned as I climbed. Halfway up, I glanced at the wall where our family portraits once hung. Now there were only pale rectangles, nail holes left behind. The hallway stretched out at the top, dim and narrow. The circled bedroom at the far end. Its door hung slightly open. The smell hit me first, dust, dampness, and something metallic like rust. The room was nearly bare, except for a single chair in the middle, and an old trunk pushed against the far wall. I stepped inside, my shadow spilling across the floor, and reached for the latch on the trunk. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. A voice came from the doorway. "You weren't supposed to find this." Cold raced through my veins. The voice was male, low, controlled, carrying both anger and regret. I turned. A man stood in the hallway, tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in the same charcoal suit I'd seen earlier that night, the same one from the strange photograph. "Who are you?" My voice sounded steady, though my throat was tight. He stepped into the dim light, his features sharpening. Unfamiliar yet disturbingly familiar. The line of his jaw, the green eyes. It felt like looking into a distorted reflection of myself. "I'm someone your parents never wanted you to meet," he said evenly. "And that key? It was supposed to bring you here when you were ready. Not tonight." My pulse quickened. Ready for what? He only glanced at the trunk. "Open it. You'll understand." Every instinct told me not to, but curiosity burned stronger. I flicked the latch. The trunk groaned open, releasing a cold, stale breath. Inside lay rows of VHS tapes labeled in my father's handwriting, decades worth. Beneath them, thick folders stuffed with photographs and documents. I picked up one and opened it. My stomach turned. Page after page held photos of me, school events, sports, playing at the park. But none were taken by my parents. The angles were wrong, the distance too far. Some blurred, like they were snapped in haste. And in nearly every shot, hidden in the background, was the man standing before me. "You've been following me my whole life," I said sharply. "Protecting you," he corrected. "That's not protection." "Ask them," he cut in, his tone hard. "Ask your parents why they left this house. Ask why they never told you who I was. Ask why they made you believe you were safe when you weren't." My phone buzzed violently in my pocket. Dad's name lit the screen. I answered, my voice shaking. "I'm at the old house with him. Tell me the truth." A sharp inhale. Then my father's voice, urgent. "Maddie, leave now. He's dangerous." The man's jaw tightened. "Dangerous?" He let out a bitter laugh. "I kept your daughter alive while you were too busy guarding your reputation." "What is he talking about?" I demanded. On the phone, my father's voice cracked, something I'd never heard before. "When you were little, we got involved with the wrong people. This house, it was their meeting place. And you," he faltered, then forced the words. "You saw something you weren't meant to. We thought moving would keep you safe." The man cut in. But they didn't cut ties. They bargained. They traded loyalty for comfort. My hands trembled. "So you've been watching me in case they came back?" He didn't answer directly. Instead, he said, "You won an award tonight. You think your family's anger is about recognition? No. Someone saw you. Someone who remembers." That's why they want you back under their roof. Not to protect you, but to keep you quiet. Dad's voice came again through the phone, strained. Don't listen. He's twisting everything. The man stepped closer, eyes fixed on mine. They left you tonight because the less they were seen with you, the safer they felt. The trip was an excuse. And now that you've got the key, you hold more power than you know. Why give me the key at all? I asked, my grip tight on the folder. Because this place, and everything in it, has always been yours. They signed it over years ago, but never told you. These tapes, these records, they prove not just the house, but what your parents did. The truth pressed down on me like a weight. My family, the same people laughing on a beach instead of watching me from the front row, had buried years of secrets, calling it protection. I looked at the documents in my arms, evidence that could dismantle their carefully built world. My father's voice pleaded through the phone. Maddie, whatever you think you're doing, stop. You'll destroy us. A strange calm spread through me. Maybe you've been destroying yourselves all along. I hung up. The man stepped aside, letting me pass, no resistance. My fingers brushed the brass key as I tucked the folder close to me. I didn't yet know what I would do. But for the first time in years, one truth was clear. When my family called again, I wouldn't be the one desperate to answer. As I stepped into the night, the porch light flickered on, casting the yard in pale gold. Behind me, his voice carried softly through the cold air. Welcome home, Madison.